Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Weekly Oscar Talk, number 31. A little late this week. It's midterms week, so crazy stuff going all around. Not a ton of news, anyways. So I'm glad we waited a few days because there was really no news until a few days ago. I'm joined by Anthony to talk all of the awards news as always.
Hello, everyone. Yes, the last 24 hours really delivered in terms of
They
topics for
did.
today. So,
They did. First of those topics being the Gotham Awards, released their nominations, I believe, 2 days ago now at this point. I can just quickly run over the major categories. Feature, the nominees were Aftersun, The Cathedral, Dos Estudiones, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Tar. I guess we can break it down by category. I don't need to go over the whole thing. So feature thoughts. I think the big miss here is women talking.
yeah, it's surprising. You know, you always have to wonder, like, are they looking to support, more unknown filmmakers?
Mhm.
And which, could be the case. But at the same time, you may be like, well, what about Todd Field? I think that speaks to how strong Tar is just as a film.
Yeah.
Uh, and usually I feel like the Gothams aren't necessarily the best predictors. They don't overlap as much as like the Independent Spirit Awards when it comes to an award of this size.
Yeah.
um but I do think that there's always like one or two movies that are strong at the Gothams, or at least make an appearance at the Gothams, that then manage to maintain their support. And I think, as we are seeing, that's Tar and Everything Everywhere. I think Everything
Yeah.
Everywhere getting into Best Feature, though, is a major deal because it means that this is going to be taken seriously. It's not going to be discounted for its genre, which has always been my fear. I've been worried about the absurdism of the film, maybe turning people off. An organization like the Gothams accepting this film, I think, is a good sign, because there isn't like there isn't like a voting body that's going to be supportive of it for any craft. Like, this is on the filmmaking, and it's going up against all these like smaller indie dramas, and the fact that it's able to stand among them, I think, is a good sign that we're going to take this seriously.
Yeah, I agree. It did pretty well overall. It missed a few things, which we'll get into in a second, but I think overall it did pretty much as expected. It didn't overperform, it didn't underperform, so that's good for it. I think the big takeaway, besides women talking this thing, is just in general, Tar did really, really well here. It's a very, very
Tony
strong.
Merlant nomination, getting two
Yeah,
supporting actress nominations, was
that's crazy.
particular. Especially because, as much as Merlin has had a following, and of course was in Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Yes.
If you've seen the movie, she's not really in the second half.
No, it's
So
not a
the fact
huge role.
it's not a huge role. It's a vital role, but it's not a
It
huge
is,
role. It's not
yes.
as big as Hoss's. Nina Hoss, I get, and
Mhm.
I think Nina Hoss is one to look out for,
She's
as a
going at the Oscars.
as
It's
a
happening.
Miranda de Tavira type of nomination that just sneaks in there because of the support of the film. But the Merlant nomination in particular is impressive. Todd Field did not get a directing nomination, but he did get screenplay, and I imagine he also gets a nomination with picture, or at least, I think
Probably, yeah.
directing a mission is not a big deal. I feel like Tar, I would say Tar overperformed, especially for a more main
Yeah.
indie contender, because of Kate Blanchett and the fact that it has a wider release. So I'm very happy, as it's both of our favorite movies of the year, and
It's incredible.
there's only really like two movies that
Should
I think
win Best Picture.
rival it. We for me at least. So we'll see when I see those films. If
Yeah,
you know,
true.
probably know which ones I'm talking
Yes.
about. But
They both begin with B.
they do.
Mhm.
Um, and they both are directed by filmmakers whose last names start with C. Um,
Wow.
Learn the alphabet with Oscar Film Forecast.
Yes, exactly. If you haven't connected the dots, I'm disappointed.
Yes, yeah, you
There's
need
not a
to
lot of options.
go watch some of our past videos.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this film. I saw it last night again. I'll probably go again this weekend now that it's out wide and I don't have to
Yeah,
pay ridiculous Uber fees to get to
I
the
know.
theater. But yeah, I love this film and I'm very happy. I'm interested, though. We can get into this now because Michelle Yeoh also got nominated for Best
Hmm.
Actress, one of its three nominations for Everything Everywhere. And I just saw Till yesterday. Um,
Yes.
what do you think, making of the Best Actress race? Do you think it's going to be a repeat of 2020, where we're going to have a very strong three, if you want to throw in Michelle Williams, 4. And do you see it working out that we're gonna be eyeing all these contenders
Like
and then,
different winners at each
well, not even that,
place.
that
Uh,
we're going to be, it's going to be all these different contenders, and then ultimately we're going to give it to a 3-time Oscar winner, or at least Kate Blanchett will be a 3-time Oscar winner by the end of the night, like
yeah,
Frances McDormand, like Meryl Streep, where it was always up in the
yeah,
air, and then it was like there seemed to be this consensus of they deserve it. This is a great role. It's been a while. Let's give it to them.
yeah. I think I still have Kate Blanchett winning. She seems. I mean, I think the three big contenders nominated here, which would be Michelle Yeoh, Danielle Deadweather, and Kate Blanchett, are your top three contenders for the win at the Oscars as well. So it'll be interesting to see who wins here. We got a true race here at the Gotham Awards as well.
Different tastes, of course, than the Academy,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think if Kate is able to,
I think she, unlike Frances McDormand, would possibly be a sweeper. Frances McDormand was kind of a surprise.
my the only thing that I think that could hurt Kate, aside from the fact if people really get behind, because I do understand the sentiment, because having seen all three of these performances, Deadweiler, Yeoh, and Blanchett, they're all phenomenal in such distinct ways. So they're all worthy, and I do,
Especially Danielle Deadweather.
yeah,
She was incredible.
yeah, really, really devastatingly effective. But I could see people saying Halle Berry it's Halle Berry. I keep, now that Little Mermaid is now in the, I'm getting ready. I
It's
keep
close.
questioning whether I'm saying Halle Berry or Haley Bailey. Halle Bailey. See, I can't even, just
It's just
HB.
one syllable. Yeah.
The Oscar winner in 2003, I think, or 2002 for Best Actress. I could see some people being like, she's still the only woman of color to win this category, and
Yeah,
maybe
but we bring that up like every year with like
yeah,
with a potential person of color being a main contender and actress, which this year would be both Daniel Deadweather and
the fact
Michelle
that
Yeoh.
there's two of them. It's the fact that there's two of them, and we just gave a third Oscar in this
And
category.
yeah, it's
I
gonna
think
go to the white
it's the
woman. Yeah.
repetition of it, and the fact that, yes, I understand that Frances McDormand had won for Three Billboards only 3 years prior, but there was a long stretch in between Fargo and Three Billboards.
Big stretch. Yeah.
And the same with Meryl. There was a long stretch before The Iron Lady. With Kate Blanchett, she's
It's
all
not
like her
huge.
first Oscar was she's won all of her Oscars in the 2000s. So it
Yeah.
hasn't been as long of a stretch. Now, we both agree that this is a landmark performance.
It's yeah, one of the best in a long time.
And I think the only thing that could stop her is the Laura Linney syndrome, or the Scarlett Johansson syndrome in Marriage Story, where
Not likable.
it's, if the men of the Academy specifically do not like this character, the same way that I think it hurt Scarlett Johansson in Marriage Story, and that many people, probably many divorced men in the Academy, saw too much of their exes in Scarlett Johansson, and then she was
Yeah.
that they didn't want to vote for her. Or Laura Linney, where she was the only one of the main triumvirate of the Ozark team. Jason Bateman won for directing. Julia Garner won, what, 3 Emmys for her role.
Three now. Yeah.
She was the only one who didn't win, and I think it's probably because her character wasn't likable. She's a very
Yeah.
condescending, domineering presence that could really leave you uneasy in a way that if it was a man, we wouldn't probably have that issue. As how many times did Bryan Cranston win? How many times has Daniel Day-Lewis won? He won for There Will Be Blood. So I do worry with that, because the Michelle Yeoh and the Daniel Deadweiler performances are so endearing in very different ways. That's the only thing I think could stop her. But at the same time, the strength of Tar, this may be where it pops in places that it might not. They're very democratic. They may want to give it something here.
Yeah, and I think like when Frances McDormand was kind of, we should have seen it coming because her movie was obviously the strongest in picture, which is a big correlation. If your movie is like in picture, especially with Best Actor or strongest in picture, you have a better chance in the acting categories. And I would say out of those top three, Tar is the strongest in picture, to be honest.
Yes, actually, yes, I agree. I think they're
Probably
all.
stronger than everything.
I know we disagree on Till. I think all three.
Yeah,
Have you've
Till's in
seen?
my. I have. Yeah, it's still in my honorable mentions. It's. I'm. Yeah, we can talk about it maybe later on, but I thought it was a pretty good movie. Pretty good. I think
I,
Daniel
I
Day
want it on
Lewis,
the
the
record.
clear standout.
I want on the record. I did predict Frances McDormand because of what we were saying. The
Um,
fact that there was like, how can you not like? And it was also the most unique. Like I'd never seen a performance like that, and I think a lot of people gave her a lot of credit for. She was a producer on the movie, and she was able to act. She was able to pull these performances out of these non-actors like that. That takes incredible, just
mhm.
commitment. And as we were saying, like it was just the movie was so beloved. Like how does she not go with it?
She was
And
incredible. Yeah.
yeah, and usually there is an acting win to go alongside a Best Picture win. I don't know if we're going to be
Usually.
saying that about Tar as far as the chances, but we had women talking so high up. Do you think Tar could? Given we only have this omission from the Gothams, but could the indie that could we thought it was women talking. Could it be Tar?
Maybe I think the winning package for that would be picture, probably director and actress. I'm not sure
It
if it
win
would
screen-
win because that's Nomadland's
yeah, that would be
same
Nomadlands. It could win screenplay. Um,
That's strong category.
it's strong, but I think that could be. Listen, Spotlight proved that you can win picture with only one other award with screenplay. So, it's everything. It's as far as building a package. What you need is to be well liked, respected, and have a presence in all the crafts. You don't have to hit everything because we've seen like Irishman was the only movie that year that got picture, director, screenplay, editing, cinematography, and acting nominations, and yet it didn't win a single thing all night. So you don't need anything, but you want certain things, and I think Tar could get it because I think the thing that helps with Tar against women talking is I think Tar it's about the industry. It's about artists trying to grow. I think it's conversations about separating the art from the artists and cancel culture. I think could really resonate with the Academy and as it really grasps this culture head on. It's impeccably made. You're going to get all the people who love filmmaking and the art of people who look at film as art. You're going to get them in line, and you're going to get the actors probably. It could hit a lot of boxes, and it's also, at least for me, that 2 hour and 38-minute runtime flies by. It is very entertaining to see
Every
her
second is
use
perfect.
everything. So I might bump it up. I think as far as the indie of the bunch, I think it
It's going to be
probably.
the critics' darling of this year. I think it's going to win a lot of the critic awards all around.
Mhm.
Other categories we can quickly talk on. So lead performances, as we just mentioned, they mix both genders here. So there's 10 nominations.
How do you feel
Kate
about that?
Blanchett. It's tricky with as we'll see with the Emmys, with Emma Darcy, with non-binary or even trans actors picking a category when they're so gendered. But what I worry about is if you do just make it just best lead performance and best supporting performance, men are probably going to end up dominating.
I agree that is the fear, that what if we get a homogenous bent to male performers. But I would posit you, if you're looking, let's just take this year, best actor and best actress, if you combine them, the women I would say probably are smoking the
So much
men.
stronger. Yeah.
So like personally what I would do, because I feel it is necessary, I think that we don't separate gender for any other category, and there are great. And again, the fear with this is women getting awareness, and there's great women working in all these crafts categories that we don't give them these opportunities for Oscars or awards. And if what I would just do is for the next couple of years, next 3 years or so, have everybody fill out the ballot as normal, and then also have everybody both for nominations and wins, have them fill out as if there are no genders. And let's just see how do they vote. And if they vote in a way that is not going to be, negligent to female performers and non-binary, transgender performers, then I would implement. And we can do what the Emmys do, 8 or 10 nominations in Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor. But I personally feel that it's one of my favorite quotes is when Chris Rock hosted the Oscars, with the Oscars so white controversy, and he was like,
Mm,
Robert De Niro's never said, I better slow this acting down so Meryl Streep can catch up. This isn't track and field.
yeah.
So I do feel there's truth in that. And I think we're getting to a point, especially with the rise of non-traditional gender roles and actors playing them, that we're going to have to change things. So I'm interested to see what happens with um, um,
Yeah.
bodies like this and how they go about it. Because I do think
Bodies like this definitely will be paving the way. The Academy's not just going to hop on board. They're going to have to see how it plays out with other places. Um, I just do also wonder, you're giving out half the amount of Oscars that you usually do as well for actors. So
I mean,
I,
nobody had the issue would be we do that because then more actors means more recognizable faces. So ABC wouldn't like it. But I mean,
mhm,
let's say you cut sound in two, and nobody had an issue with that. Some of us were
yeah,
good. So like at some
you're
point,
still awarding both the mixers and the editors, though. The same
true,
amount of people get Oscars.
that's fair. That is a well taken point. But I still think that now that we're getting to a point, like the justification to separate them, I feel like, why are you separate? Are you saying that the women can't compete with the men? Because there's a separate thing of why the Oscars need to do it, and then also what would be the fallback to the Oscars doing it? Because there really isn't a reason to keep them separated, except we want, Will Smith and Jessica Chastain to give Oscar speeches so that we can
Mhm.
clip them out. And but in an age where nobody's tuning in for speeches anymore, like the people who watch are the people who love these movies, which is why you need to cater to them and stop catering to the invisible audience member. And so like if the people who are tuning in are just the lovers of film, I think it's going to be fine. I mean, you're going to have a tighter show, and the award will have, if not the same, but more value, and it'll be just respectful for all those artists who don't identify within these, very binary divides. So,
Yeah, I just
I think they should do a trial run, see what happens.
Yeah, I do. I look at the past few years at the Oscars, and if it was just best supporting performance, best lead performance, like the past 3 years, I think all six of those would have gone to men. I think it would have been Smith and Kotzer. I think it would have been Hopkins and Kaluuya. I think it would have been Phoenix and Pitt. And it's just like, I, I feel like,
That's we can feed in the conjecture. Laura Dern, of course, probably would have had a strong shot. I think that Ariana DeBose, because then the question is, when they're voting, are they then going to vote to try and make sure they still pick a man and a woman no matter the category? They could
true.
be their democratic selves, and that could come into play. It's possible. And listen, you would be missing out on honor. Like if this happened, and let's say Ariana DeBose did win Best Supporting Actor, you're missing out on Troy Kotsur, and that's
Mhm.
why I think we need to approach this with care, and we need to make sure that what we're doing is not lessening the work. But I also think that there just comes a point when there's going to be a rise in this sort
Something
of,
needs to be done. Yeah.
and let's just see how it goes. Let's see if this is a solve. It might be, it might not be, but I think it's worth a try. I mean, it's should be noted, very different voting body. But when I think the first award show to do this was the MTV Movie and TV Awards,
Yeah.
and they had best actor in a movie, and best actor in a TV show, and a woman won both. Emma Watson for Beauty and the Beast, Millie Bobby Brown for Stranger Things. So
I'm going to be honest. I trust MTV movie voters and not being misogynistic more than Academy voters not being misogynistic.
that might be that you might have some water in your argument there.
Okay. Other got well, we can quickly talk about the nominees for lead performance. So Kate Blanchett, Tar, Daniel Deadweather, Till, Dale Dickey, Love Song, Colin Farrell, After Yang, Brendan Fraser, The Whale, Paul Mescal, After Sun, Tandaway Newton, God's Country, Aubrey Plaza, Emily the Criminal, Taylor Russell, Bones and All. I'm so excited to see that, and Michelle Yeoh, Everything Ever All at Once. So it's going to be those three actress contenders versus Fraser, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, we're still waiting on a trailer for The Whale. And we've talked about it. I think they're playing their campaign very smart. They're anticipating the inevitable Twitter backlash to the film, and we'll see what happens. But this is our first case, though, that Brendan Fraser is going at it alone. that the picture will not come with him, like Black Swan did for Natalie Portman,
Mhm.
and that could help him. That could hurt him. It didn't hurt Renee Zellweger with her win for Judy. It did hurt Glenn Close with The Wife, um, and also we saw Ma Rainey. There were a lot of people who were predicting both Boseman and Davis, and I think it really hurt that their movie wasn't in picture. That was a big sign that they weren't going to go all the way, especially because I believe that year, because you had Yu Jun Yoon, Daniel Kaluuya, Frances McDormand, Anthony Hopkins, all four of those people were in Best Picture nominees. So
Mhm.
it's something to note about the Fraser campaign, especially
Austin
if
Butler.
Elvis is able to get in there. But I
It
think we
is.
start anticipating
Also Banshees.
is Banshees of Inisherin. I think that could play really well, and I think Colin Farrell could be your Anthony Hopkins of an actor who they just love.
Or your Frances
Secretly.
McDormand. Because she
And
also won for a Martin McDonough movie.
but that would be Colin Farrell winning would be more akin to Mark Rylance because he's never been nominated before, and
No,
so that's what's interesting about Best Actors. Usually, Best Actor you get like you just get like a titan of the industry of the craft, and here you're going to be seeing. I mean,
mostly first time nominees.
the only person who might rival them is what, Tom Cruise? Like he's the only
Hugh
like
Jackman,
been here a while. Maybe
one nomination.
I still feel The Sun, given how the response is, I feel that that's a movie that falls into the House of Gucci camp that seemed like an Oscar package, but then people saw it and then people said no.
I don't know, because The Sun and The Whale, their Metacritic scores are different by like 4 or 5 points. So I don't understand why it's like such a vast, like Hugh Jackman's got no shot and like Brendan Fraser's most people's number one.
But well, first off, I think there's more affection. I think there's more of a willingness to give Brendan Fraser an Oscar over Hugh Jackman. I think they want to honor Fraser. Like Hugh Jackman, he's Wolverine. He was
Maybe.
winner.
I
Like he's fine.
I
So
think a
that's it.
lot of that is online Fraser love, if I'm going to be honest. I think the internet loves Brendan Fraser more than the Academy
That
does.
may be true, but the internet also is not solely attending these screenings where they're giving him standing ovations. That's definitely some
No, no.
in the industry. Um, I think the reason, if you're going to point to the two movies and why is one movie have a higher opinion, we have a trailer for The Sun. I think that it's
And a
affecting.
terrible poster.
Uh, yeah, the one that looks like Collateral Beauty and Dear Evan
Yeah.
Hansen. That's how you know a movie's like look out if they do the
The
fractal.
broken pieces. Yeah.
And to be fair, listen, we haven't seen this movie, so we're speaking of it.
I'm looking forward to it still.
Yeah, I mean, we both love The Father, and so we shall see. But given at this point, the other thing we need to mention is that we expect a Darren Aronofsky movie to be intriguing to the point that some people are going to be turned off by it. We don't expect that
He's only
from,
made one film though.
yeah, but then that's what happens. I mean, that's why your sophomore movie,
Sophomore, yeah.
the sophomore slump is a thing, because when you win 2 Oscars on your first movie for Best Actor and Best Adapted Screenplay, when you sink that low, it's a bigger deal than when Darren Aronofsky hands out a movie the same way he's handed out movies his entire career.
Post Mother.
Post Mother. Yeah. Mother was underrated.
Mother, the Father, the Son. Hey.
There we go. That's
The
quite a
Holy
triple
Spirit.
feature.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah. But yeah, if I were to predict the winner here, I would say Kate Blanchett. She seems like the strongest one overall. Her,
Well,
maybe Fraser.
I'm going to look at what they've given it to in the past. Because I think,
Okay.
wasn't this Toni Collette's only win for
Oh, I
Hereditary?
don't know. I would love that
vague
if so. She
memory.
deserved
Here you go.
to win the Oscar. But while you do that,
Olivia Colman won. I mean, Olivia Colman was pretty.
she won.
That was Olivia Colman won the Oscar for
Oh, yeah.
So Toni Collette would have had to taken it from her, which I would have nominated her. But
Toni Collette was better than Olivia Colman.
I don't know.
That's one of the best
so
performances.
funny. I rewatched The Favorite. I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago at this time, and it's so good that even though I love First Man, and First Man was my favorite movie of that year, and I love Claire Foy, when I was watching this movie, I was like, damn. Emma Stone, really. I honestly would go as far to say it might be the best supporting performance of the 2010s. I was watching it and I was like, what a performance! Like, brilliant. Emma Stone.
J.K. Simmons.
I honestly, when I did it, he was my male best supporting actor winner of the decade, and she was the female, the two of them.
Wow.
But it's just, I feel like we haven't talked about her as much because she hasn't made like an Oscar type movie since The Favorite. But Emma Stone, I mean, Birdman, just the trilogy of Birdman, La La Land, The Favorite is just like, that's like an actor's dream to have those back to back to back. And she's, and then go do Cruella and be for the pandemic a box office hit. I mean, she was one of the movies
And
that
then
got
Yorgos's next movie.
I'm very excited
and
get
such
a
an
new
interesting title.
That's
That's going to be
interesting.
terrible to look up online. And what do you mean? Oh God.
It's like It, or can we new title, please? But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And then the supporting performance nominees: Jessie Buckley, Woman Talking; Raul Castillo, The Inspection; Hong Chow, The Whale; Brian Tyree Henry, Causeway; Nina Haas, Tar; Naomi Merlant, Tar; Ke Kwan, Everything Ever All at Once; Mark Rylance, Bones and All; Gabrielle Union, The Inspection; and Ben Weish, Woman Talking. Nothing too crazy there. Woman Talking getting 2 people in there. Jessie Buckley over Claire Foy. Interesting. Yeah, and none of the Everything Ever All at Once, neither Jamie Lee Curtis or Stephanie Sue getting in there.
So just looking up, Toni Collette did win the Gotham Award for Best Actress. They don't do supporting, at least I'm looking, they didn't do it this year. And because like Adam Driver for Black Klansman is in Best Actor.
They switched it up a lot.
For the Oscars. It should be noted, just looking at, let's just stay on 2018 for an example. They had 4 performers nominated that went on to get Oscar nominations: Adam Driver, Richard E. Grant, and Glenn Close for The Wife. Richard E. Grant for Can You Ever Forgive Me. The 4th was not in their main categories; it was in the breakthrough actor category, with Yalitza Aparicio for Roma. I don't know if they have a rule that you can't be in 2 separate categories, so maybe that's why she wasn't an actress, but there is a presence at the Gothams. At least there has been. The Favorite was one of their best feature nominees, so that could, maybe we'll see Tar and Everything Everywhere. I still have doubts about Everything Everywhere. I'm still worried that could be the one that shocks us all and is on the thumbnails of every can you believe what the Oscars did this year? I'll see.
So in terms of the supporting category here, win-wise, honestly, I'm not sure who I would say might win. Do you have any thoughts on who might win?
I mean, listen,
I'm Kwan, maybe.
Very happy to see Ke Huy Quan. This would be really, again, as we've said, I'm very.
Once we see him, just like Troy Kotsur, once we see him give speeches, it's gonna everyone's gonna want him to give a speech at their awards show.
No, and I think he'll play on the late night shows. He'll run an Eddie Redmayne campaign where you're going to fall in love with him, and he has such a great story. And it's not just a great story that makes you feel; it's a great story about this industry and what a movie like Everything Everywhere can accomplish. And as we've said in the past, this could be where Everything Everywhere really comes through, because I don't see this popping anywhere else, especially if Cate Blanchett takes actress. It could have a 3 billboards a night where the only 2 awards it wins is Best Actress and Best Supporting Actor. It could do that, but regardless, I have Ke Huy Quan out front, and I probably will keep him there.
Yeah, I agree right now. And then screenplay, the only thing here, After Yang, Armageddon Time, Catherine Called Birdie, Tar, and Women Talking. The miss was Everything Everywhere All at Once, interestingly enough. But I still think that's plenty strong for the Oscars. And then other categories, I'll just say the nominations, just give them their showtime. Doc Feature, All That Breeze, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, I Didn't See You There, The Territory, What We Leave, an International Feature, Athena, Banshees of Inisherin, Corsage, Decision to Leave, Happening, and Saint Omer.
Could Banshees get in for the Oscars?
Well, no, because it's not in a foreign language.
But isn't it international feature? It's not foreign language film anymore.
Yeah, but you have to most of it. I think it's more than 50% has to be in a different language for it to get in there.
Which is why it was interesting, because I was thinking when when I was watching the trailer this yesterday. And I was like, wait a second, couldn't this get it's from a different, it's not
That's why
from
movies like Minari didn't end up there either. Like some of it is in a different language, but it's mostly speaking English.
well, Minari, wasn't it? But who's the studio behind Banshees?
A20. Oh, Banshees. Banshees is Fox Searchlight.
Oh, it is, okay. Because maybe it was like if it wasn't from like a Hollywood studio, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
But I guess everything has an American studio behind it somewhere.
Yeah. I think it's good to have movies that like if it's made in Britain but they're speaking English. I don't think honestly those should contend for international feature personally, just because they probably have a much better shot than the other movies. But shout out to those movies. And that's pretty much it for the Gotham Awards. Big takeaway. Tar, very strong. Everything Everywhere All at Once, Women Talking, all that stuff. Those are your big Oscar contenders to look out for there. Next news item. This morning, lots of FYC sites made some updates, including Paramount, who updated their categories for Babylon,
Oh, this is
surprisingly including Brad Pitt in lead for lead actor for Babylon, and Diego Calva in supporting actor, Margot Robbie in lead actress, as we all suspected, and she always has been. They're not going to do some fraud there.
so real quick, Robbie or Viola Davis?
Robbie.
Okay.
Her movie's stronger picture. But then they updated it. Diego Calva is going in.
I mean, listen, the other thing we learned today were two run times. One, Babylon will be 3 hours and 8 minutes. And Avatar: The Way of Water, do you know this?
It's over 3 hours, I know.
3 hours and 10 minutes long.
Jeez.
Five
They come
minutes
out like within 2 days of each other.
5 minutes shy of Titanic.
My God, that's gonna be wow.
Now Black Panther at 2:41 is now one of the shorter run times.
Yeah,
Hard.
I'm gonna be spending like 6 hours in a movie theater over the course of like 2 days.
Oh my God, those poor people at the AMC Best Picture marathons who
Oh
have,
God,
oh my God,
it's gonna be
I mean,
movies this year. That's my complaint this year. So many movies this year, for some reason, this year in particular, more than past years, are longer than they need to be. Like I found myself complaining about that more often than usual. It's like this didn't need
that
to be
was
this long.
me last year, not this year. I've been fine with, because I mean, so we've only seen one of these long, because was Nope long? I feel like Nope was long, but Nope was
It
great.
was long, but I liked it.
I love
liked
Nope.
its
Everything
pacing.
Everywhere was worthy of its 2:18
Yeah.
time. I'm sure Black Panther will be. We'll get into that.
The
Tar
reviews were
flies
just
by.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a long movie that
Batman
like,
was a little longer than it needed to be.
yeah, but I didn't mind. I think I love that movie more than you do though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I still really liked it, but
yeah.
yeah,
But
I'm
then like,
forgetting what movies I'm actually thinking of, but I just found myself like this was long.
but
Don't Worry,
listen,
Darling was long.
I forget. Don't Worry, Darling's fun. Um,
It
but
was better than it's not as bad as people say. I watched it a few days ago. I mean, it was very well directed. If Olivia Wilde actually directed it, very well directed.
yeah. I mean, listen, a great movie is never too long. Is this the quote? A great movie is never too long, and a bad movie is never too short.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
True
just
that.
how it works. I'm looking to see if maybe I can find one of these long movies that didn't deserve it.
But they did update their site to make Diego Calva lead as he should be, and Brad Pitt back in supporting, Margot Robbie staying in lead actress and supporting actress. Jean Smart and Lee are your main contenders there.
Jurassic World Dominion was way too. I was gonna
Oh
curse.
yeah,
Way too long. I almost did. I curse in the last episode. I can't remember if I
I
stopped
don't
myself.
know.
I think I cursed.
Yeah, it's
I
okay.
was very tired last time. That's why we had to take a break.
Yeah, no demonetization. I don't think curses caused that anyways. I don't know. I'm not monetized anyways. But yeah, I think I'm not sure if this was a mistake or if they saw the reaction and then flipped it around. I mean, it seems pretty clear Diego Calva is lead, at least from the trailers, from people who have read the script. I know Brad Pitt's the bigger star, but he's a supporting performance.
This is the thing. It's not okay. Brad Pitt going lead kind of makes sense because listen, if you're putting Diego Calva in supporting because you want to give him a better shot, and technically, historically, that's where you get a better shot.
Not
You know,
this year, but most years,
this
yes.
year, which is that's where the interesting thing comes in because it's like, are they paying attention to the season and
They
trying
should
to
be.
hit Brad? Yeah, but they've
But
rare
if
like
they were, they would put Margot Robbie in supporting, to be
that's what
honest.
I'm saying. So like it's if they were paying attention to the season, Michelle Williams would have never she would have clung to Best Supporting Actress like Kate
I'm
Winslet clung
still
to that door
upset.
in Titanic. Well, listen, the Oscars could always make up their mind. Oscar nominee Lakeith Stanfield, everybody. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but here's the thing. Diego Calva going supporting is not the worst thing for him because like we've seen this before. Viola Davis won for a lead performance. She won Best Actress
Yeah,
in a
but she was like a
role.
co-lead. I feel like he's the
She won
definitive
the
lead.
same role on Broadway in the lead category. Now the Tonys have a stipulation that if your name is above the credits of if your name is above the title, you have to be in lead. That's their own rule.
Mhm.
But come on, like that. This is tradition, and if it's they're trying to play the game, I understand. The question that I think comes in here is what came up with a Green Book, which is why are the people of color always the supporting performances and why are the white actors the leads? Why is Vigo and Brad the lead actors, and why is Diego Calva and Mahershala Ali the supporting? Now you could say again, like Diego Calva's new, so this is a better avenue. Mahershala Ali had already won an Oscar, and this seems to be a tradition and a trend that we're going to put the POCs into supporting, and we're going to put the white actors in lead because the whatever reasoning. And I think that to me is more troubling than whatever excuse they did and the shuffling around because I think that
The
speaks
category frauding runtime wise. Yeah.
just the
No, yeah, that's a true trend. I would have to look over more of the years in general just to see. But that is very true. That seems like something they should fix. But thankfully they did fix it here because Diego Calva is now lead. This didn't really change much for me. I don't think Brad Pitt is getting nominated. I was early, jumped on that train, and then yeah, not happening. I mean, Brad Pitt not getting nominated this year. Angelina Jolie gonna get nominated for Pablo Larraín's next film. I mean, we love to see it. We love
He
to
does
see it.
have the track record of both Portman and Stewart got nominated for them. So
Yep.
looking forward. I'm looking forward to Angelina
Next
Jolie.
Oscar nom.
Yeah.
And then
For
yeah,
Charles.
not for that, no. But yeah, I think Margot Robbie is probably my solid 4 or 5 in actress. That's currently the only acting nomination I have to getting. Maybe Jean Smart, but that's really acting ones. But yeah. Any other thoughts on this category hecticness?
No, not really. I'm intrigued. The question, just because we brought this up, just are they paying attention to the season and do they try to position these actors based on how everybody else is positioning? Because could you make the argument that Robbie is supporting because they know Michelle Williams is not in that category? Are they thinking maybe Michelle Williams will inevitably be in that category? I think Robbie is screwed anywhere because if Michelle Williams is in supporting, then Michelle Williams wins. If Michelle Williams, if she goes,
Margot Robbie's not winning this year.
yeah, she's not winning this year. We were not prepared for the best actress race and supporting actress race that we're getting. But yeah, I think they just had to choose and they chose, Margot Robbie. She's been nominated
Which is good because if she was in supporting actress, she would be taking away from people like Jean Smart potentially getting nominated, which is what Carey Mulligan is doing in She Said, which apparently there are amazing supporting performances from actresses like Samantha Morton and Jennifer Ely, but Carey Mulligan is a co-lead in that movie, but in supporting, and she's the best shot at being nominated.
Yeah, listen, it's the Golden Globe syndrome of you want the stars. I mean, listen. I know that the Oscars are a tonier establishment than the Globes, but I mean that's why. Like, think about it. Think about the character actors who win. It's people like J.K. Simmons who are so familiar to us because he's on every other commercial doing Farmers Insurance. Like even the character actors that we're honoring are some of the most he was in the most popular movies of the 2000s in the Spider-Man Sam Raimi trilogy. So even the character actors we admire and acknowledge are household names. Allison Janney, same thing. So you're never going to get the true character actors nominated like Samantha Morgan. You know, you can get nominated if you're a new name, if you're the lead, or you're a debut talent. Austin Butler. But you're not going to get it if you're not well known already and you're a character actor.
It's an uphill battle. It's possible, but it's a very uphill battle compared
That's
to
why Paul
anything.
Raci was such a big deal and why I was so supportive of this nomination, because that
A true supporting performance.
was a true supporting performance that was there based on the
I
merit
love
of
Daniel Kaluuya, but
It's great. Yeah, listen, I think Academy Award
that
winner.
was the best performance in that category, but it was a lead performance, you know.
Yes. Academy Award winner Daniel Kaluuya is a sentence that should be uttered. So I do not take anything away.
I'm looking forward to saying two-time Academy Award winner Daniel Kaluuya.
Yes.
Sometimes
there's a lot of things I'm looking forward to. And maybe one day it's Paul Raci. Maybe he comes back. You know,
I hope so. I hope so. I really want to see him in something soon.
We had sound of metal. We have four other senses. We could do sight of metal, taste of metal, touch of metal, the hearing of metal. Yeah. No, we did sound. What was the one I didn't do? Sight, sound, sight and sound, BFI. I'm gonna stop now. Go on to the next
touching of metal.
Touching of metal.
Yeah. That's a nice quadrilogy you got.
Quad is 4.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you're right.
Quintology. We're gonna have to learn this word because when Avengers: The Kang Dynasty comes out, that'll be the 5th Avengers movie. God.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. But yeah, that's Babylon stuff. Speaking of Avengers and Marvel, Babylon, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, screened last night, I believe, and we got our first social media reactions to the movie. Positive all around, very, very positive all around. I only saw one kind of negative one, but I do not trust that individual personally. I do not trust their taste. And I mean, yeah. Based on just, I feel like with a lot of these reactions, you can read through the lines a little bit. Like sometimes it's the initial reactions, you can tell that they're positive, but like they're kind of like they start with the positive stuff and then they end with the negative stuff.
Ground. You've never
you saw it with Black Adam recently. It's like they're complimenting like the visuals and the action. It's like, oh, what about the plot and the story and the characters?
And this is what I've been telling you. The story, both of the movie and outside the movie, is the key element to this movie and why it is different than other blockbusters, why it's different than the first film, and why I am just as confident in my prediction.
Number
one, because it's just what you were seeing.
I wish these were stronger reactions, to be honest. They were, the vibe I got was positive, but not as positive as the first one, and not like, I was kind of expecting most of them to be a little more.
What were some of the verbatim that you were?
I was just expecting, like when you see a lot of these social media reactions, a lot of them are exaggerated and hyperbolic. Like even like with Black Adam, people saying the best DC movie since The Dark Knight or whatever. And
I don't know. And maybe this is
they weren't as emotional as I expected. Also, I feel like people would be mentioning the emotion.
Maybe this is my optimism. Maybe this is my constant defense of my own picks, but also of the filmmaking team. This is a very heartbreaking movie, and I could see not wanting to devolve into hyperbole because the movie deserves better than those cliche type of response. Because I feel like what's going to become the case, the same way that like when people mention The Lord of the Rings, like if you're having a conversation about great sequels or great trilogies, and you mention Lord of the Rings or The Godfather Part 2, like it's just like there's no questioning it. It's like talking about music and saying the Beatles. It's like, well, of course. I feel like for a lot of people, this is just going to be so leaps and bounds ahead of Marvel's other work. I did see Marvel's what is it, magnum opus. I saw a lot of people saying this is one of the best Marvel movies, and I feel that people will just the type of dialogue we're used to seeing about superhero movies that we're used to reading in tweets, this movie isn't going to feed into that. At least that's what I saw, because every tweet I saw talked about how devastating it was, that it was beautiful, it was joyful, as well as being about grief and trauma. It was about war. So I don't know. I think
Maybe I
these,
was looking at the wrong ones, I
yeah,
guess. There's a
these
lot.
there were a lot, but I think the fact that there were no negatives is good.
Yes, yes.
I've always maintained that I think this movie will blow up when it comes out because this is really going to be the people's favorite. This will be the people's choice. In the way that Top Gun, because nobody was going to pick Top Gun for Best Picture before it played in theaters. We're only
Yeah,
picking it because of the behemoth it became, and I think that's another reason, the main reason why I'm picking Wakanda Forever. What I needed these reactions for me, as far as supporting it at number one, was everybody's going to like it. There's not going to be people who come out of this movie disappointed, especially given the high bar of the first film. Nobody was saying that this doesn't rise to the occasion. And for me, given how high the bar was based on the first film and based on the expectations of Chadwick Boseman and everything, to me, that's a win. And from now, the audiences are going to love it. So
yeah.
I mean,
It's
I'll
gonna
bet
be a
you,
big hit.
I bet you now it's going to get an A plus cinema score. It's now the question is the tomato meter. The first film I think is at 96. I think Rotten Tomatoes says
First film is very high.
it's the highest rated movie on their website because of the averages of how many critics and just the score. It could top it. It could match it. I mean,
The vibe I'm getting is
who's
90.
gonna give it a rotten?
Someone will. Someone will give it a rotten.
I mean, we'll see.
Someone gave Paddington 2 a rotten. Someone
That's
will do it.
true. But
There are cold hearts out there.
yeah. But yeah, I'm very enthused about this. I think what this movie shows is that because this is the other thing with Marvel, and this is what what Marvel fans don't understand when they're like, why didn't WandaVision win an Emmy? Why didn't Spider-Man No Way Home get nominated for Best Picture? Because people don't have that connection. It's not eliciting that reaction, that emotional reaction that it does for me, does sometimes for you, and does for all the Marvel fans. The fact that every single tweet was talking about how emotional this movie was is what I needed to see. That this movie is going to elicit that strong response of what movies can do in a way that is detached from Marvel. This was talking about the movie, not the universe. And I think for me, that's why I'm still confident in its Best Picture chances.
It's my number 10, maybe 11. I'm like those last 2 or 3 spots. I'm not like she said, I think is still possible. I'm losing a little bit of faith, to be honest, in All Quiet on the Western Front, just because Netflix does not seem to be wanting to campaign for it. But it's in there. It's very close or in there. But yeah, we shall see when it comes out in less than 2 weeks.
And then Searchlight Disney has Banshees because they have Searchlight, and then they might have Avatar. We'll see.
I'll be honest, Avatar is looking better by the day.
You think an hour and 10-minute runtime of Avatar looks better? I saw that runtime and I was like, that's a lot. That's a lot.
His last 3-hour and 10-minute movie got nominated for Best Picture.
Very different very different
sequel.
Time. What I've said about Avatar is what I still maintain today. I think when you get into a sequel of a science fiction film, you are getting into the world building in a way that isn't think about it. What did we nominate the first Avatar for? You're not going to replicate that the second time to the same degree because we already know what it's like to go to Pandora. Yes, we're going to see it in new ways with better technology. We're going to have our mind blown. Of course we are. But we're not going to have...
Depends on the story.
Depends on the story. What these Black Panther reactions was not great. That this is a very different type of movie. So this is what I would ask you. I believe Wakanda Forever is a very different type of movie than the first film, where I think Avatar 2 is going to be very much like Avatar 1, given from what I know about it, given the trailers. That's why I think Wakanda Forever will stand out more as a unique film that needs to be nominated because it's different than its predecessor, where Avatar 2, I think, for the people who don't like Avatar 1, it's not like I think this movie is going to win them over. And for the people who like Avatar 1, they're going to be like, well, we already did this. We're not going to do it again.
Yeah, I have no clue what the story in the movie is, but yeah, just from the circumstances surrounding the movie, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is very different than the first one.
Very different. So we'll see what Disney does. One thing, and we off of this, I've seen a lot of people mention. We've talked about the SAG chances for this film. I think it's very high, given the on-screen, off-screen dynamic and stories and the narrative there. As far as acting, at the Oscars. What do you think?
I didn't see enough Angela Bassett mentions, to be honest.
The
I saw a
movies.
lot of Tena Cuerta mentions, but I don't think that's
We
gonna
can
happen.
talk about that. I saw enough
Michael
Angela.
B. Jordan didn't get it for the first
Yes, well, that was a very. I mean, we're looking at supporting actress.
one. I mean, but Sam Rockwell got in that year for Vice.
I mean, J.K. Simmons got in for being the Ricardos. Anything is
Yeah,
possible.
yeah, exactly,
Um,
exactly.
we'll see. I think we got to see the movie. I saw enough people saying her name, but the other thing too, which I think is interesting, people were talking about this film as a whole. They weren't talking about it in
The
specifics,
ensemble.
which is the ensemble, which is strong. But as we've seen with ensemble films, sometimes there are those that stand out. I mean, Ian McKellen got nominated for the first Lord of the Rings in supporting actor.
Yeah.
So I could see Angela Bassett getting in there. What do we think about Tenoch Huerta? Do you think it's Michael B. Jordan syndrome where he's good but he misses out at the end? Because
I just don't think when they're watching this movie, they're going to be thinking, like, which of these actors will I nominate? I just don't think it's on their mind.
Sure. I do wonder, like, given that this won the SAG award, if maybe there is more of attention to the acting from the outset because it's coming in with the prestige of having already been accepted for its acting. And again, as I said, I think the first film winning those Oscars is what changed its perception among the voting. But like, it took the win to, like, this movie would not be an Oscar contender if the first one didn't win. It already has that going in, and maybe that mindset changes the way we look at some of these performances. Just my opinion.
Yeah, if supporting actors were very weak this year, I would very much consider Angela Bassett. Tena Cuerta is a new name, so that also gives me doubts.
We'll see. But
he was
a
Hollywood movie.
Single tweet I saw. So like it's worthy. It's meant. It's like very like even when Endgame came out, you weren't seeing Robert Downey Jr. mentioned in every single tweet. Like it was ridiculous. Like Tena Cuerta has been everywhere for this movie. So, and also the fact that he is the conduit for what makes this movie distinct from a craft space from the first film, aside from the funeral costumes. So we shall see. We'll see when we see the movie. We're talking a lot about
very soon, like 2 weeks,
at least
crazy
for when we're recording this.
Yeah,
but I'm
2
very
weeks to go.
I'm very confident, and we should mention because I will eat crow. That
Rihanna.
I did not know Rihanna was writing a song that is meant to.
Song drops in 3 minutes as of recording.
So I will give it that. The fact that it's Rihanna's first song in 6 years and that she's doing it to honor Chadwick Boseman.
By Lady Gaga.
Listen, I'm wearing a Lady Gaga shirt. I love Lady Gaga, and I still think, listen, she could get a
There's
score.
a world where she wins. Although if you look at Top Gun Maverick's FYC page, for some reason, original score is not something they're campaigning for.
I don't know. Maybe it doesn't qualify given the fact that just use Hold My Hand over and over again. But listen, we're gonna have a night where Lady Gaga and Rihanna both perform. We're fine. We're winning no matter what. And Rihanna, Lady Gaga's won, and Taylor Swift maybe.
I hope so. I mean, given the success of Midnights, you would want her there.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm a big Taylor Swift.
Better chance at winning best short for All Too Well 10-minute version.
Yeah, Sadie Sink get nominated for that, instead of the whale. But yeah, Rihanna, I think is your big contender for original song. Although there are 2 songs, but
the one about Chadwick Boseman, it's you got to build it up from the ground. Okay, Black Panther song. Okay, the first one got nominated, lost to Lady Gaga for Shallow. Okay, that will probably get nominated. Rihanna.
Return.
Okay, all right, we're getting higher. Now you have a big name behind it. Usually you do. I'm sorry, Diane Warren. That just seems to be how this category works.
She might get nominated this year.
Tribute to Chadwick Boseman. That's all you need. It's done. Especially because I don't know where this song plays. It could be the end credits.
From what I've heard, it's an end credit song. It's all the stars of this movie.
Yeah. So, and I've heard the beginning is devastating, and the end, like it bookends you with emotion. That's the thing. This movie is it's what I've said from the beginning. It's gonna affect people in a way that no Marvel movie has. And few movies rarely do, given the external forces and the fact that it'll be a fun movie like Top Gun Maverick was. So we'll see what happens, but it's a force that has not been seen in an Oscar campaign yet. At least I
agreed. Final thing, I just want to mention, I've the past week been seeing a lot, including from herself, of Jamie Lee Curtis buzz for Everything Everywhere All at Once. She's been talking very explicitly how she wants to get nominated for this. Lots of people now putting her in their top 5 for supporting actress. Personally, I feel like this is just because she's on the campaign for Halloween, whatever number it is at this point. I don't know. I don't watch them.
14, 13.
God, Jesus, that many?
I mean, she hasn't done all of them, but we're on what? Let's see. We'll take a little tangent. Halloween,
13?
Halloween 2, Halloween 3, the season of the witch, Halloween 4, Halloween 5. Was there? I think there was a Halloween 6. The 2 H2Os, the 2 Rob Zombies, and then
So I
Halloween.
saw someone say they should have called it Halloween the 13th.
Yes, that was true. Yes, you're right. So 13, and she's been in I think half of them.
That's insane. But personally, I don't think. I mean, who knows? Judy Dench.
No. Oscar chances for Halloween Ends. Best actress.
No.
Best score.
The Razzies maybe.
Filed court.
Put that over at the Razzies, not the Oscars. They'll be competing with Morbius.
That's WTF moments.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was like a 2-star movie for me. It was wacky, real wacky.
Yeah, I don't plan on watching it either. She was good in Everything all at Once, though. I think if you're going to nominate an actress in that and supporting it, should be Stephanie Sue. If there's a world where she gets in and Stephanie Sue doesn't, that would be disappointing. But that's also kind of like Judi Dench and Katrina Bell. So
yeah, which
we'll see.
Could happen. Yeah, but listen, Jamie Curtis. If you go back to when the movie came out, and she was like calling out Multiverse of Madness, like she's been going wild on her Instagram about this movie. We'll see. I think it would require a previous group to get the ball rolling for her. And she gives a good performance, and it's a true supporting performance.
The Globes will nominate her, so
yeah.
I mean, she's part of that organization. So.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know, because again, a Jamie Lee Curtis or a Stephanie Sue nomination would require Everything Everywhere to be a major player, and I don't know if it is, even at its highest heights. I don't know if it is.
I agree. I think it's, I know some people still have a winning picture. Maybe we'll have to see. I mean, if it like wins SAG and starts winning a bunch of stuff, then yes. But right now,
you got to put it up against the movies win picture: Nomadland, Coda, Parasite, Shape of Water.
Shape of Water is a little weird. I'll give that.
But think about Shape of Water.
Established director.
Established. It's the Darren Aronofsky thing. People love Pan's Labyrinth, and it took a decade for them to get used to his style. And Shape of Water. Listen, when you have, which granted, the movie has an equivalent scene, I feel, because the whole movie is like an honor of all the different types of films and avenues that cinema can take. But when you have the fish man looking at cinema, appreciating cinema, like that's all you need. And they're different weird.
They are.
So I don't know. Like you look at that lineup and you're like, Everything Everywhere sticks out so much, but maybe that helps it. And it's not sticks out in a bad way. It's still in my top 3 favorite films of the year. It's a brilliant movie.
It's very good.
Just I'm worried, really worried. I want people to love it. I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to get my.
I think it'll do medium. It won't overperform, but it won't be like majorly snubbed. It'll get the ones that everyone is predicting it for now.
I think it'll play like Jojo Rabbit. I think that's the plan.
Plus one extra acting nomination.
Not
Rabbit did pretty well.
I don't think it's going to have like the same nominations. I just think it's going to be that type of player. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it will play well. It'll get some other support. It could get like a DGA nomination, but maybe miss out on Best Director. I could see it getting that and then winning one, which for us we think it's important. So I think the people who think this is going to be like a 10 plus nominee, like it's going to get like sound and makeup and hair, like it's a lot. Like
that's just Babylon and Fablemans this year. That's all.
Black Panther.
You to get 10, you need actors. You need actors to get 10.
Let's see the movie. I don't think Angela's. When we're considering Jean Smart, I don't think Angela Bassett is that much
That's
of a
different.
of a jump. It's similar, you know. As I've
We'll
said
see.
before, the role she plays, if it was not in a Marvel Studios movie, that sounds like a supporting actress win to me. You know, so we shall see.
I'd like to see it. She deserves. She's only on one nomination, so she deserves another.
I mean, just think about like, do you? I mean, this is a Joaquin Phoenix probably would have won, but I do think that Heath Ledger winning opened the door in many respects to where we are today with Black Panther getting nominated and stuff like this. It took the first movie to win to get us here. So, or like just the fact that Black Panther getting through the door is how Joker becomes a sure thing from the get-go, winning the Golden Lion. So I do think the fact that Black Panther opened the door means that I don't think it's going to have the same campaign as the first film, in my opinion. So we shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall. And then last thing, I did put out a call for questions. We got one, and we kind of already covered it. Josephine DeMarco asks, which film do you think was most helped by the Gotham Awards? And I think we would both agree, Tar. Yes, did very well, very, very well. I'm happy to have been on the early Nina Haas getting nominated train, because I think lots of people, as these awards shows and their nominations continue to roll out, will notice Nina Haas is going to happen. I mean, Cate Blanchett carried other two previous supporting actress performances into the Oscars with Rooney Mara and what's her name, Sally Hawkins. So
what, you put some respect on Miss Hawkins? What's her
I just
name?
forgot. No, I love Sally Hawkins. Tragically not in
that
a great movie this year. What's her name?
What movie?
What is it, like The Lost King or something? I've heard very bad things. Yeah.
And movies need to stop remaking foreign language films because it's the same
in English. Yeah.
Because to me, I find that to be a bigger offense than like the Disney live action remakes remaking their animated films, because
those are just blatant cash grabs.
But they're different mediums, so I get there's a different expression that goes into one or the other. Yes, they're there to make money, but I also think, listen, remakes essentially, as somebody who loves
West Side Story is a perfect remake.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like a revival
theater
or a remake means that more people are discovering.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah, maybe they'll go back and rewatch the original, but just the fact that the story is getting told again, usually by passionate filmmakers, that's great, wonderful. But the issue here is that it's worse than, I think, saying that one medium is better than the other with animation versus live action. You're saying that a story that is not Hollywoodized doesn't have the same value or is less valuable, and that I think is a really big offense, because that's more than just art and expressing, and like, because some people just can't get into animation because there's not a human attached, and I understand that. I don't agree, but I understand that. But you can read subtitles. I put on subtitles for normal stuff because I
always have subtitles on. Yeah,
I'm eating and watching something, you best be sure those subtitles are going on.
Some people just speak weirdly and their diction isn't great, and I'm just like, what are you saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And also, don't do that Leonardo DiCaprio remake of Another Round. That just does not make sense. That's the worst, most egregious example. But ending on that tragic note, where can they find you on the internet, Anthony?
You can find me running the Black Panther Awards campaign for Disney FYC.
For free.
For free, I will do it.
I'll do the Bones and All campaign for free. I haven't seen it.
You were working for Warner Brothers last year on Dune, so it's fine. We all take.
I'm also rooting for Elvis, so WB, just
WB. Yeah, well, good. I feel much better being at Disney and my future at the I mean, listen, now you got James Gunn and Peter Safran, so maybe they'll give you an Oscar winning. I mean, you got Joker Folie à Deux in a couple of years, so
I do not want that.
Other side, as we said, Gaga will stand. As for non-Disney FYC work, you can find me on YouTube at Spoilers Ahead with Anthony Post. Here, of course, always getting into fun conversations with Jack. And then on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Anthony_Post.
Awesome. So like the video, comment your thoughts on all the crazy stuff we talked about today down below. Subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. I'm at Oscar Film FC on Twitter if you want to follow me, tweeting about Midnights. And yeah,
We have a
we'll
Swiftie and a little monster.
yeah,
We bring our music taste.
we do. I'm a Swifty. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week for likely updated Oscar predictions of the November sort.
We kind of did them this week, but
Yeah,
you're welcome.
yeah, we do it every week, but we're going to be very formal about it next week. So see you then.